Hi, my name is Karen Ellery Jones, and I'm with GertRausch today. He is an executive chef and co-owner of Aqua Grill. He's been delivering great, innovative cuisine here in Sandwich with a pan-world influence. Gert, thanks for having us. We're actually shooting live from Aqua Grill.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I always like to ask, what drove you into cooking? Was there a seminal moment where you said, aha, I'm going to be a cook?
Well, I think the first time, in Germany during this time you had to go to school, and you had to make a decision basically in 8th grade if you go on and, go to college or stuff like this. And my grades at school were really that good, and so my father's uncle, my father was born in France, to German parents, but born in France. They had a restaurant, and my mom was a great cook. And, I went to different job interviews, and I really didn't like this, and I didn't like that. And then I said to myself, maybe I should go into cooking, and then maybe learn how to be a cook, and then go back to school and go into hotel management, and that's how it basically started. It's really an early age because you're only 14 when you have to make that decision.
Right.
You see, so and I don't regret it. I went back to school for hotel management, and I lived all over the world, but I always came back to cooking basically. And I like cooking. At the beginning I think it was not as much the cooking, but it was like being able to live in different parts of the world.
Right.
And I loved to travel, and I took full advantage of that. And I basically went to, there's a book out, like 1,000 places you have to go before you die.
Mm-hmm.
I went to 750 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So you only have
300 to go.
Yeah, 300
but since,
to go.
since we are now open the Aqua Grill in the winter months for 3 days, some of this traveling cut short.
Right. So when did you come to the U.S.?
Well, the first time I came to the United States was in, I think about 35 years ago or 40 years ago. And I actually worked on Cape Cod. I got hired to an agency, and I worked at the Sheraton, which it was a Sheraton at that time. It was in Hyannis, and I could hardly speak English, and I was supposed to be hired as a sous chef, then they fired the chef, and I never saw a prime rib in my life, and a lot of things, because you're not used to American cooking. I came from France, and so I stumbled through it for one season. We had big shows back there, like with Sammy Davis Jr. and like 1,000 people. We had no kitchen at the beginning. It was a nightmare. And I was basically illegal, because the agency said, well, we get you all the papers, but no papers. And then we had immigration come in the middle of this summer, but they let us all stay because it was during the good old days.
In the good old days.
People were not upset if you were here legal, as long as you worked, and I paid my taxes and everything else, and that's the reason.
I have to ask you, do you have your papers now?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm actually now a proud American citizen.
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an American citizen because I think this country is a great country. And then, so I had to leave the country, and then after 2-3 years I got my papers. I went back to Canada and then down to South America. I came back here. And I worked with Sean Sartarian, who just opened up the Paddock at this time. And I worked for him for one summer, and we stayed friends, and that's the reason I actually came back here to Cape Cod, to Sandwich.
Right. Okay. So I know we have a lot to talk about, so let's start in with your Oktoberfest.
All right, the Oktoberfest is an event which I think this is our either 4th or 5th year.
Right. Highly successful, raises a lot of money.
Raises a lot of money, and I think this year, I think the first couple of years, we had lots of little problems because, if you do fundraisers, you really, you don't know how much money it costs. But this year, it's going to be, I think, the first really profitable Oktoberfest where we actually can donate some more money than $1,500 because we have sponsors this year, much bigger sponsors. Heineken is sponsoring all the
Oh, wow,
beers.
that's great.
And they're coming up with like T-shirts and all kind of press releases and all the signs they're going to pay for. So that's going to be very good. And then we have Mayflower Brewing Company, who's going to help us out. So that's a big chunk, is all the alcohol, and also all the wine companies where we bought wine, for like our house wine. For all the 2 restaurants will donate the wine, and the food companies are helpful, so. But, it's always, at the beginning, it's very hard for people, everybody wants to do a fundraiser, so
Right.
they have they have probably hundreds and thousands of requests every year. But being here now for 4 years, it's going to be much easier for us because people see it, it's a lot of fun, we have a band, and we had so far great weather. So if this year the weather is like all the previous years, I think it's going to be a great success.
What's on the menu?
Well, I mean, the menu for that particular day is pretty simple, We have, because it's of that many people, we basically have sausages with sauerkraut, and we have a schnitzel with German potato salad. We have a German little burger. We have potato pancakes. And that's basically it, It's just food which you can, have on a little plate, you don't need to.
So it's
force
almost
it.
like an introduction to German
Yeah, it's an
food.
introduction to German food, because what we're going to do after that is, and we did this now for us, I think I would say 10 or 12 years, where we serve German food in the restaurant. Not only German food, but it's heavily leaning towards German food, where we do like 10 or 12 different items, which are all homemade. And we feature that during the months of October, besides our regular menu, because, we are most food we serve in the summer is fish. 80% of it is all fish and seafood, So we're going to do that until the end of October.
Okay. Do you find a lot of people try the German?
Oh yeah, it's pretty
items?
amazing.
Yeah?
It's pretty amazing. We do a few items during the summer months on Thursdays, and Thursdays have been very successful because people do come for German food on this particular day. But German food in the United States, except in a few pockets, basically, like we're talking Chicago, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, are the only places where actually German restaurants exist and did do well. There was a great German restaurant in New York, but that went under. And because I think when they talk about German food, they always think it's very, very heavy. And yeah, there's some parts of it which is heavy, but not every part of German food is heavy. We serve lots of seafood. If you go to the coastal regions, it's all broken out. And I think a lot of people, when they think about German food, they actually think about Bavarian food. Because I think when people go to Germany, I think 70% of the tourists who go to Germany,
Southern.
they're
Yeah.
southern. And they don't think that the North really exists. You go down the Rhine Valley, and then you go to Bavaria. And as long as you eat your sausages and your sauerkraut, then you think you're in Germany.
Right.
And that's really not true at all,
So you'll be offering some northern,
Yeah, we do some northern
Northern
food.
dishes?
We're going to do some seafood. We do like some halibut, some cod, the potato crust with some spinach and a red, like a pepper sauce. We're going to do probably some rabbit. We're going to do, obviously you have to do sauerbraten and you have to do schnitzel, because, when it comes to schnitzel, that's, on a Thursday night, that's what I sell. I have some goulash on the menu and some sausages, but everybody eats schnitzel, and I give them 5 different ways, and as long as you have schnitzel on, everybody's happy.
yeah, well, schnitzel's a great dish. It's.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody asked me one time, what is schnitzel actually? And I said, you have schnitzel in every culture, basically. In the French way, it's called escalope.
Right, yeah.
And the Italians call it scallopini, and the Germans call it schnitzel. And that's basic. And you can do schnitzel with everything. You can do schnitzel with pork, venison, veal, chicken. In any way you want it, as long as it's breaded. and you put lots of oil and lots of butter in it. That's basically.
I think the butter is the key, because when I was doing some research, I watched your video yesterday, your schnitzel video, and I never added butter to mine, but I did it yesterday, and
it's the difference.
It's
you
the
see, when you
difference.
do it, another thing is this. I remember the first time when we did the Oktoberfest, and I took the schnitzel and I put it in the fryer later, and my partner Johnny said, "Oh my God, how can you fry this?" I said, every schnitzel is fried in a way, and if you
Right.
don't put enough, sure, in Germany, when I learned cooking, we didn't have fryer laters, we basically had frying pans, but you always put at least that much oil in there, because the most important thing for a schnitzel is that it swims in oil,
Right.
so the crispiness comes
Nice and
out. Then you should
crispy.
take it out and put it in a different pan, or discharge the oil, and then put lots of butter in it, and it needs lots of butter. I always, when I do my cooking classes here, I always put lots of butter. We did some fish last week, and we do it every Wednesday evening at the end of the last Wednesday of the month. And I always put lots of butter in my thing, and they say, "Oh my God, all this butter, But you don't eat this every day either.
right, it's all in moderation.
It's all in moderation. You can, if you follow today's news and you would follow the trends, what they tell you to eat, either on television or in the radios or in advertising, if you are a normal person, you would be totally confused, because one day they tell you that coffee is not good, the year later coffee is excellent for you.
Right.
Then they say alcohol is not good, then they say, oh no, but if you have a nice scotch before you go to bed, it's good for your thing, and and this is, you're going to get obese. I think the difference, with Americans, since we are this incredibly obese country, is because we don't eat in moderation. We eat either only steaks or only this, or you have to just eat a little bit of everything, and you can eat as much butter. Look at French. The French are not overweight, and they probably eat poundages of butter, but they also walk.
Right.
They exercise, and I think as long as you do
It must be that red wine, too.
and it's the red wine, and you should definitely drink.
I think so, too.
Like,
Yes, I think everyone.
like my dad said, don't ever trust anybody who doesn't drink.
I kind of agree with you on that. Now, let's get back to the cooking demonstrations. I know when I was, you've got plenty of videos on YouTube. I want to talk about the cooking demonstrations that you do here at Aqua Grill. They're
They're the last Wednesday
of every month.
of every month.
Okay. And you get people reserve a spot.
Yes.
And why don't you talk to me about that? And
Well, what we're going to do is we do different things, and I basically asked. We have a core of girls who almost come to every cooking class, and they basically tell me, why don't we do this and why don't we do that, And we did like cold soups one time, like 4 or 5 different cold soups. Then we did like some sattés from, little skewers, meats and seafood. And the last time around we did sea bass, where we did it 3 ways. And the next time around we're going to do German food, where we do potato pancakes and dumplings and a nice sauce and a schnitzel and an apple beignet, which is a big thing in Germany with vanilla sauce. And I don't even remember what else we're going to do. But
so this would be the last weekend in October.
no, that's the last weekend in September.
In September, I'm sorry.
Because they all want to
I keep
do
on thinking we're in October.
Yeah, I know, but they all want to do German food. So I
Okay.
basically asked them what they want to do, and because there's, I think it's sometimes the best. Why not do what they like to do, what they
Right.
like to learn?
So they come and they watch you prepare the foods. Do they ask questions? And
Oh
you-
yeah,
and
yeah.
you tell
The
them-
questions are they ask very well at the beginning of the beginning of the evening, but we also have a lot of fun. It's not like where you sit there and they have some wine with it, and they have some we always do little appetizers, and where they can and yeah, they're very interested. Most people are interested until probably the last course. The last course gets a little wild because most people, including myself, who had a good day, we had a couple of glasses of wine. So.
Oh, it sounds like fun. I think
Yeah,
I
it's
have
not
to come
just,
to one of
it's
those
not a very
demonstrations.
strict cooking class. But what we can do in the winter, what I was thinking about doing it in the winter, that we actually go in the kitchen.
Oh, that
You
would
see,
be-
because on Wednesday, we are closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Wednesday would be a good day where we can actually go in the kitchen and there's nobody there, and we could do some stuff, and they could actually, you know, I could show them and they could work with
Do
their
some
own hands.
hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah,
Right.
make it a little bit more. I'm going to ask them and see what they want to do.
Right. I'm sure that going in the kitchen is something that a lot of people who are interested in cooking, who have
Yeah.
never been in a kitchen, professional kitchen, would like to do.
Yeah, and so we want to do that. And, you know, so, but we always make sure that I show them what we're cooking, and then I have, like, in the kitchen itself, my cooks help to, you know, put out a little plate so everybody
Right.
tastes the food.
So how would they sign up for it? Do they do it online, or
Well,
do they give you a call?
no, they call. You know, I mean, and I try to explain to them it would be a little bit easier on me if they would figure out exactly what they want to do, because they call you and then they call you in the last minute and say, well, we're going to come, and then they don't come. So I always prepare for 30 or 40 people, because that's what usually come.
Okay.
So I try to explain to them the last time. It would be very helpful to us to tell us how many actually are coming, you know what I
Right.
mean? But it always worked out all right, so it's not the end of the world.
And you have what, do you have a maximum of 40?
40 is about the maximum, I think. We had one class which we had in here, and it was 50, and I think it was too much. It was, and I need to get a microphone because it's difficult for people to hear the,
Right.
you know, because they talk to each other too, so I have to do that. But 40 or 50 is definitely enough. And if I think I should do it in the kitchen, I think I probably should only do like 25 or 30.
Right.
So they could actually work back there.
Right. And how much is the cost?
The cost is $35 a person.
Okay. And that includes is that a couple glasses of wine?
Well, it depends. Some people have 2 glasses, some people have as much as you give them.
Oh, wow.
We have never been really that, you know, except my maitre d' and manager, she basically cuts them off when they have too many.
Oh,
She
this
just-
sounds like a really wild party.
Well,
I
you
think I've
know,
missed
that
out.
sometimes she knows how to handle them, you know what I mean? There's just no more wine available at certain points or
Right.
at certain tables. But no, we haven't, you know, but it's really not a big money maker. It's what it is, it's like, it's a good image for the restaurant. And all these people who come to these things, you know, like the cooking classes, and we have some wine dinners, we had some beer dinners. They, you know, they come to other events. They come, you know, they come here with their family for the summer. They book a party, you know, like for a wedding and stuff like this, and or like a rehearsal dinner. So it's like, it's an overall, it's more public relation than anything else.
I think too, people are interested in cooking more so, you know, you have the advent of the Food Network and so many cooking shows, people
Oh,
want to
absolutely.
learn and they want to try new recipes. You give copies of the recipes,
Yes,
is that
I give
right?
copies of the recipes. And you see, the thing is this, you're absolutely right. The Food Network probably single-handedly changed the whole industry. I mean, there is, you know, I think today, as restaurateurs, we are complaining about, you know, people are not going out as much. And they really are not, because when you look at, for example, the home improvement channels, I mean, they have shows strictly about the backyard, where they
Right.
built these incredible backyards. And people do cook at home now. I mean, they buy cookbooks, they have beautiful kitchens. Most of the times they don't really use them, but I mean, they have them available, and people do parties at home. Plus, you know, it has also something to do with drinking. I mean, I remember when I came to Cape Cod even, you know, the bars used to be always full until 10 or 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I mean, now, I mean, even in except a few popular bar spots, people don't drink that much anymore because, you know, I mean, if you get into trouble today,
That's
I
right.
mean, you know, it costs you thousands and thousands of
They
dollars.
booze it up at home,
And so, but
or
they,
here during the cooking demonstrations.
during the cooking. But you know, they actually do a lot of things at home now.
Right.
It's very popular to do, you know, your parties at home.
So I know that you have a GertCooks.com
Correct.
website, and that was actually, that's a really great website.
Did you look at it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's a thing in progress, you
Right.
know. I mean, we're just putting on more and more stuff.
You have a lot of
Yes.
cooking demos on there and recipes
Yeah,
and
and
information.
yeah, what I basically wanted to do is this, and I have done some of the countries, but I want to do some of these places I actually lived, you know, and cooked, and just put different kind of recipes on there. And that actually helps with my cooking class too, because we are putting things on there, places I went to, you know, I want to do something Indian, I want to do something Chinese, I want to do something Thai and Japanese and all this other different stuff, and kind of put it all on my website, you know. It's kind of like to remember where you went, you know.
Right. What's your favorite cuisine at the moment?
I don't
have
really
one?
have a favorite cuisine. I mean, I like Asian food. Asian food has always been one of my favorites, I think. I like seafood. But you know, I couldn't really say this is my actually most favorite food in the world. No, I mean, I eat anything. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I ate everything basically already. You know, from ants to grasshoppers to whatever you can imagine. You know, and it's actually grasshoppers are actually very good. You know, they taste like grass.
Yeah. Did you ever think of putting like a
Grasshopper on the Meridian
Yeah.
sandwich. I think that wouldn't go over too well.
or having, you know, some type of cooking class with unique
Grasshoppers?
ingredients?
Yeah, I mean, let me just tell you one thing. You know what is very, very funny? We're talking about cooking classes. We had one day, I had a salad class, all right? And we did all kind of different salads with, you know, one we did some sauteed scallops on top, and one we did with asparagus and berries. It was right in the main season when all the fresh berries came out, like raspberries and blackberries and strawberries. And I did it with an orange dressing, an orange ginger dressing. And every single one of them said, "Oh, this is the greatest thing. You should have this on the menu," all right? So I put it on the menu. No, I had it on the menu before, actually. And I sold maybe 1 or 2 orders a night, and we're doing 300 dinners. You know, I mean, this restaurant is not really. The Aqua Grill is a good restaurant, don't misunderstand it, understand me, and we serve very nice food, and everything is fresh, but it's not really a very adventurous restaurant. I mean, you know, particularly when it comes to July and August, you got all the kids here with the big family, and they basically eat what they like, you know. I mean, we sell tons of tuna and swordfish and fried food, but I mean, if you put on grasshoppers, I think that would go really well. I think that wouldn't go over that well, but you know, we can try it for a joke. I mean, I actually did some lobster ice cream. That didn't went over too well. Yeah, and I just thought that was kind of weird. But because one of my cooks who is here right now, he works in Germany, or he worked in Germany, and he worked in one of these 3 Michelin star restaurants. He's a kid who worked for me here a long time ago, and he wanted to come back for the summer, and obviously he has a lot of expertise, so I brought him in, and he says, "You know what we should do is we should do a steak with lobster ice cream." So we did it. We didn't sell 1 order.
Not
it's
one
actually,
order?
It's actually very, very good.
Yeah.
Because you see, you have that ice cream. You know, like it's almost like butter. You know,
Right, yes.
when you
It's
put
got
herb butter
high-
on a steak, you know, and I mean, it melts really nicely, and it's very things. And the lobster ice cream, I personally didn't thought it was. But I mean, when you put it on steak, because it has garlic in there and lobster pieces, and it has ice cream, which is basically, you know, heavy cream and eggs. So it's almost, you know, when it melts on top of the steak, it's actually quite good. It's weird, but it's quite good.
So it works.
But we didn't sell 1 of them. You know,
Not even one?
No, they all said, "Please, would you mind to leave the ice cream off?" Which is fine with me, you know. I mean, we do whatever people want here, you know. But it's, you know, but I mean, I think the United States came a far, far way from what it used to be like 20 years ago. I mean, I think right now you have restaurants in the United States which can compete with anybody in the world. Plus all our produce and our meats and our cheeses and all the stuff we have here is as good as to have it in France or in Germany or anywhere in the world. I think it's or the wines. I mean, I remember when I came to this country, we used to have red wines from Italy. You had, all the menus were written in French. You had French wines, you had German wines, and you had Italian wines, and that was it. And I mean, now it's totally different. I mean, we got vineyards everywhere in the United States.
That's true. All right. Well, I think that we have to probably end now. So we talked about the Oktoberfest, your cooking demonstrations, the restaurants. Any last words?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to tell everybody that we are going to be open in the winter months, but it's a very short kind of schedule. It's basically Thursday evening and Friday evening, and then Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sunday for brunch. And we close around 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Mhm.
Sunday.
Thanks to our, this is, I think, our third year we are open in the winter.
Mhm.
It's kind of in one way you enjoy it because you get all the local people,
Right.
and in other ways you hate it because you can't go on vacation. But, you can't have it all, unfortunately.
Right, and you won't be able to rack up a few more places.
No, I can't, So, but anyway, this year I'm going to try to do a few smaller trips and stuff like this.
Okay, Gert, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.